I'm super excited to be making this video. I actually did this video in a TikTok form like a few months back and it had a great response. People really enjoyed it. And I was just scrolling along on my Kindle as we do and seeing all of the amazing books that are on Kindle Unlimited. So I figured I would come on here and tell you guys 20 of the sci-fi / fantasy books that I saw on Kindle Unlimited that I personally would be very excited about reading. So we have some YA, some adult, some sci-fi, some fantasy, some series, some standalones. It's just a big old mix. And in typical Emma fashion, I'm not going to be going in any sort of specific order. I'm just going to list them off the way that I wrote them down. The first book that you can read on Kindle Unlimited is A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. So this is like fantasy / dark academia. This has 87,000 ratings with a 3.72 average rating. In this, we're following Effie, and she believes in fairy tales. Her favorite author wrote a book about this fairy king, and then one day the author's family announces a contest to redesign his home, and Effie, our main character, feels like it's her calling. But when she gets there, she realizes that the residents are less than welcoming, especially Preston Hillary, who's a young scholar that's determined to bring down this author because he thinks he's a fraud. The two rivals end up working together and piecing together some of the author's life, and in the process, dark forces conspire against them. I have seen this one around a lot, actually, for a while now. I think it's been like 2 years since I first heard about this book, and I've never been fully drawn to it, but actually after reading that description, I feel like this is probably gonna have to go on my TBR list and possibly even just be downloaded into my Kindle library at this point, because that sounds so good. Like rivals to lovers, an eerie like gothic setting. It honestly just sounds right up my alley. I would love to know if you guys have read any of these books. So if you see any books that you've read, definitely comment down below and let me know how they are, because I didn't put any books on this list that I have read before. I would love to know other people's thoughts about them so I can decipher if I want to put them in my Kindle library or not. Next up, we have Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. This is fantasy / romantasy. This has 140,000 ratings at a 4.44 stars. So it looks like this has gods and monsters, enemies to lovers. Our character lives in one of 5 kingdoms that are kind of like ruled over by these monsters, and her whole life she's been kneeling to these monsters, but also her father, who's the king. She doesn't want to rule, she doesn't want to fight, but now she's crossing treacherous land with the warrior who despises her as much as she despises him, and she's bound to a future she didn't choose and a husband she barely knows. If you see me looking down, by the way, I'm looking at the description on my computer. I have heard very good things about this one. I did mention on TikTok a few days ago, maybe a week ago, that I feel like romantasy has become very formulaic, and so any new romantasy that comes out I am wary of, because I just feel like they all blend together and start to sound the same. So I am wary of this one, but if you've read it, please let me know. Try to convince me. I have heard really good things, and I've heard people say that it's less formulaic than some of the other ones out there. Next up is Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. This is fantasy mixed with sci-fi. It's like a video game, like inside of a video game setting, I believe. It has 123,000 ratings on Goodreads at a 4.5 stars. The description says, "The apocalypse will be televised. A man, his ex-girlfriend's cat, a sadistic game show unlike anything in the universe, a dungeon crawl where survival depends on killing your prey in the most entertaining way possible." Honestly, that already has me hooked. There's an 18-level labyrinth filled with traps, monsters, and loot. A dungeon so enormous it circles the entire globe. It kind of sounds like everything in the world has kind of collapsed, and now it's all just like a ginormous dungeon that like spans the whole size of the earth. Once you go in, you can't get out, and what's worse, each level has a time limit. You have days to find a staircase to the next level down or it's game over. And in this game, it's not about your strength or your dexterity, it's about your followers, your views, your clout. It's about building an audience and killing those goblins with style. This sounds amazing. I follow this girl on TikTok. Her name is literally Dungeon Crawler Kayla because she loves this series so much, and she has convinced me that I want to pick this up. I think this series has like 5 books, somewhere around there. Sorry guys, I needed to switch this microphone because it gets so hot in my room and I needed to put the AC on, and I just know that my other microphone would not block out the sound of it. So I'm sorry in advance if you can hear some like white noise in the background from my AC. But our next book is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. This is fantasy with a little bit of romance. This has a 4.27 average rating with 536,000 ratings. We're following Elspeth, who is our main character, and she lives in Blunder. And I guess Blunder has like this disease or like this dark force infecting it. And Elspeth meets a man on a random forest road, and together they join up to gather the 12 Providence cards, which are the keys to the cure of her city. A little romance blossoms between the two because obviously, and Elspeth is forced to face her darkest secret yet, which is the nightmare slowly taking over her mind. This has been one that I have really wanted to pick up for a long time. The vibes of this, I feel like, are just going to be right up my alley. I just love anything that's like dark and like gothic and just like atmospheric. I just love that kind of setting. Not to mention like the magic system with the cards. That sounds so amazing. I'm a big tarot card reader, so this magic system mixed with this like gothic dark atmosphere just really intrigues me. You can also read Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo on Kindle Unlimited. This is YA fantasy. It has a 4.46 average rating with 1,107,000 ratings. So it's pretty good. 6 dangerous outcasts go on a heist together. I'm not sure what they are trying to get out of this heist, but the crew is the only group of people that can save the destruction of the world, basically. But plot twist, they all hate each other. Next, we have The Book of Doors by Gareth Brown. This is fantasy magical realism. It has 80,000 ratings on Goodreads with an average of 4.04 stars. Our main character, Cassie Andrews, is a bookseller in New York City, and her favorite customer ends up giving her this strange book. Apparently, it has handwritten messages and mysterious drawings, and she soon finds out that the book can open doors to any part of the world that she wishes to go to. But the book's power comes at a price, as most everything does, huh? And she now has people hunting her down for this book. Next up, we have This Woven Kingdom by Tahira Mafi, which is a YA fantasy series. This has 86,000 ratings with an average of a 3.9 stars. This is a pretty short description, but it just says, "To all the world, Alize is a disposable servant, not the long-lost heir to the ancient Jinn kingdom, forced to hide in plain sight. The crown prince Camran has heard the prophecies foretelling the death of his king, but he could never have imagined the servant girl with the strange eyes, the girl that he can't put out of his mind, would one day soon uproot his kingdom and the world." Next up, we have The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. Another young adult fantasy. This one has almost 160,000 ratings with a 4.17 average rating. 17-year-old Kiva has spent the last 10 years fighting for survival in a notorious death prison, working as the prison healer. When the rebel queen is captured, Kiva is charged with keeping the terminally ill woman alive long enough for her to undergo the trial by ordeal, which is a series of elemental challenges against the torments of air, fire, water, and earth, assigned to only the most dangerous of criminals. But then a coded message from Kiva's family arrives telling her not to kill this rebel queen. She knows the trials will kill the sickly queen, so Kiva risks her own life to volunteer in her place. If she succeeds, both she and the queen will be granted their freedom. But no one has ever survived the trials. Just that one little minor detail. A mysterious new inmate is also fighting for Kiva's heart, and with a prison rebellion brewing, Kiva can't escape the terrible feeling that her trials have only just begun. I've heard really, really good things about this one too, you guys. This one is a trilogy. Next up, we have Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. This one actually has way more ratings than I thought. It has 236,000 ratings with an average of a 4.07 stars. Our main character's sister disappears, and there's only one way to save her. She must enter Phantasma, a deadly contest inside a haunted mansion, and claim its prize, a single wish. Phantasma is a maze of twisting corridors and lavish ballrooms of demons and temptations. Our main character will face 9 challenges, each more dangerous than the last. There can only be one winner, and the other contestants will stop at nothing to eliminate their rivals. Every day, the house creates new monsters, and a mysterious stranger offers her a bargain. Charming, arrogant, and infuriatingly attractive, Blackwell claims he can guide her through the lethal trials ahead. All he asks in return is 10 years of her life. Next up, we have The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This is a fantasy Greek mythology kind of romance. It has 1,870,000 ratings on Goodreads, and it's at an average of 4.13 or 4.31. That's crazy. We're following Achilles and Patroclus. Everyone loves Achilles, and Patroclus is an awkward young prince exiled from his homeland after an act of shocking violence. They're brought together by chance, and they forge an inseparable bond despite risking the god's wrath. They're trained together by the centaur Chiron in the arts of war and medicine, but when word comes that Helen of Sparta has been kidnapped, all the heroes of Greece are called upon to Troy in her name. Achilles joins the hunt, and Patroclus follows because of his love and fear for his friend. Little do they know that cruel fates will test them both as never before and demand a terrible sacrifice. I have heard this book is absolutely devastating. One that recently came out is Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stephen. This is a romantasy. It's young adult. It has 43,000 ratings with a 3.69 average rating. Our main character remembers all her past lives, and she also remembers that in every single one, she's been murdered before her 18th birthday by Arden, a supernatural being whose soul and survival is tethered to hers. But she's quite fond of the life that she's currently in, and her little sister needs her for bone marrow transplants in order to stay alive. If Evelyn wants to save her sister, she'll have to find the centuries-old devil who hunts her through each life before they find her first, figure out why she's being hunted, and finally break their curse and try not to fall in love. This one I feel like I've heard mixed reviews about. I've heard some people say they really enjoyed it, and some people say it was a little bit slower for them, but I'm still very curious. We also have When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker, coming in at 241,000 ratings at an average of 4 stars. Our main character's job is to kill, to complete orders and never get caught. The creators did not expect their beloved dragons to sail skyward upon their end, to curl into balls just beyond gravity's grip, littering the sky with tombstones, with moons. And they certainly did not expect them to fall. We're following Rave or Raiv, who is part of a rebellion group, but then a renowned bounty hunter is employed by the crown to capture a member of her rebellion group, and her world is turned upside down. Finds herself at the mercy of the Guild Nobles, a group of dual-beaded elementals who intend to turn her into a political statement, and only death will set her free. Khan Vigor is on the hunt for a moon shard that lures him into the belly of Gore's notorious prison, where he stumbles upon something that rips apart his perception of reality. A shackled miracle with eyes full of rage and blood on her hands. That description to me is very vague, and I've heard that there is a lot to this book. I mean, it's like literally like 900 pages or something crazy like that. But yeah, I feel like that's not even like touching the surface of what this book is. I've heard that it's very complex. There's literally a glossary. So if you love very complex kind of fantasy, romantasy worlds, I feel like you might love this. And also, so much better to read on your Kindle, right? Because who wants to hold a book that's like 900 pages long? I can tell you right now, not me, because I'm reading Kingdom of Ash right now physically, and it hurts my wrists. Next up is Heartless Hunter by Kristen Cicarelli. This has 300,000 ratings with an average of 4.18 stars. Witches have been diminished from powerful rulers to outcasts, ruthlessly hunted due to their waning magic. And Rune, our main character, must hide what she is, so I'm assuming she's a witch. She spends her days pretending to be nothing more than a vapid young socialite, and her nights are spent as the Crimson Moth, a witch vigilante who rescues her kind from being purged. But then she meets the handsome Gideon Sharp, and Gideon Sharp is a witch hunter. And it looks like they kind of figure out who each of them is, and they end up pretending to court each other, not knowing that the other one is doing the exact same thing. This is a duology, I believe, and I've heard very good things. The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. This is epic fantasy. This has 78,000 ratings at a 4.14 stars. A student of the gifted, Davian suffers the consequences of a war fought and lost before he was born. Despised by most beyond the school walls, he and those around him are all but prisoners as they attempt to learn control of the gift. Worse, as Davian struggles with his lessons, he knows that there is further to fall if he cannot pass his final tests. But when Davian discovers he has the ability to wield the forbidden power of the augurs, he sets into motion a chain of events that will change everything. In the north, an ancient enemy, long thought defeated, begins to stir, and to the west, a young man whose fate is intertwined with Davian's wakes up in the forest covered in blood and with no memory of who he is. I think this one kind of became popular because James Islington wrote The Will of the Many. This sounds very interesting. Another one that seems kind of complex, but honestly probably worth the time. Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. I've heard this is kind of like a fantasy comedy situation, fantasy romance romantasy. This has almost 280,000 ratings and it's at a 3.93 stars. And I think it is just exactly what the title is. I'm pretty sure we're following an assistant to the villain. With ailing family to support, Evie Sage's employment status isn't just important, it's vital. So when a mishap with the most infamous villain results in a job offer, naturally she says yes. She finds her boss undeniably hot. But just when she's getting used to severed heads suspended from the ceiling and the odd squish of an errant eyeball beneath her heel, Evie suspects this dungeon has a huge rat, and not just the literal kind, because something rotten is growing in the kingdom and someone wants to take the villain and his entire nefarious empire out. This is another one that hasn't really been high up on my personal list, but I do think I will really enjoy it because I really do love a silly, goofy time. Next, we have The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty with 146,000 ratings. It's at a 4.14 stars. Our main character is a con woman of unsurpassed talent. She does palm reading, czars, and healings, and she believes them to be all tricks and sleights of the hand, but she accidentally summons an equally sly, darkly mysterious djinn warrior to her side during one of her cons. She's forced to accept that the magical world she thought only existed in childhood stories is, in fact, real. For the warrior tells her that across hot, windswept sands teeming with creatures of fire and rivers where the mythical Merid sleep, past ruins of once magnificent human metropolises and mountains where the circling hawks are not what they seem, lies the legendary City of Brass, a city to which Nari is irrevocably bound. Behind that city lies 6 gates of the 6 Jinn tribes. Old resentments are simmering, and when Nari decides to enter this world, she learns that true power is fierce and brutal. The magic cannot shield her from the dangerous web of court politics, that even the cleverest of schemes can have deadly consequences. This one sounds really good. I actually have never read the description of this. I have put this on my TBR just from people talking about it on the internet because everyone just seems to rave about it. But now after reading the description, even more excited about this one, honestly. I think this is like a 4-book Oh no, it's a trilogy. Then we have All Systems Red by Martha Wells. This is sci-fi and it has 337,000 ratings with an average of 4.13 stars. These are all like little novellas. It is about a robot who is like in this robot army, but he ends up becoming like sentient, but he has to like pretend that he's not sentient, and he has to like fight in these battles even though he just wants to like watch TV and just like be lazy or whatever. It sounds like heartwarming kind of in a way, and also funny. And also these are so small and so like fast paced. So I'm not a big sci-fi girly, but these ones do kind of pique my interest. So we're following Jack Tamerlane, and he's studying music at the mainland university, but young girls start disappearing from the isle that he comes from, and Jack is summoned home to help find them. Enchantments run deep on the isle, and gossip is carried by the wind. Plaid shawls can be as strong as armor, and the smallest cut of a knife can instill fathomless fear. Interesting. The spirits that rule the isle by fire, water, earth, and wind find mirth in the lives of the humans who call the land home. Adara, heiress to the east and Jack's childhood enemy, knows the spirits only answer to a baird's music, and she hopes Jack can draw them forth by song, enticing them to return the missing girls. As they reluctantly work together, they find they make better allies than rivals as their partnership turns into something more. That sounds really cute. This is a duology. This sounds like very mystical, magical, and like whimsical, and possibly even cozy. Possibly. Next we have Cities of Gods and Monsters by Kayla Edwards, coming in at 55,000 ratings with a 3.79 average star rating. This, I believe, is, urban fantasy / romantasy. Our main character, Lauren, is a human struggling to survive in a city that caters to the needs of all of the supernatural creatures. She always assumed her life would remain simple, predictable, until she barely escapes abduction at the hands of dark slayers, who are supernatural bounty hunters that possess the sight, a magical tracking ability that allows them to see a person's aura. Oh, she barely escapes abduction at the hands of dark slayers, and one of her friends is taken in her place. And the abductors are demanding Lauren's life in exchange for her friend's safe return. Darian specializes in tracking down supernatural creatures and demons and criminals that are better off dead than alive. So when he takes a job to track down Lauren and finds out she is human and couldn't hurt a fly if her life depended on it, he decides to protect her instead of turn her in for reward. When more women start disappearing and some of them slowly turn up dead, Lauren and Darian's search for answers takes them deep into a corrupt underbelly where they discover a dark secret that threatens to unravel their world. This is giving like mafia, but like monsters? Possibly? I don't know. It sounds very interesting. I think this is one of those, for me at least, that could go either way. Like I could really, really love it, or I could be like, I don't know. And last but not least, we have A Tribute of Fire by Soraya Wilson. This is coming in at 11,000 ratings at a 4.1 stars. Leah is the princess of Lokris, a dying desert nation cursed centuries ago by an earth goddess. Every year, Ilion offers the goddess a sacrifice. 2 Locrian maidens face to compete in a life and death race to reach her temple. In a millennium, no maiden has ever made it out of Ilion alive. This year, Leah is one of the hunted. An education in battle gives her a fighting chance, but the challenges are greater than she feared. Her sister has been put in the path of danger. The winding streets of Ilion itself have been transformed into a labyrinthian maze of countless choices and dead ends, and if the risks weren't significant enough, Leah is reluctantly drawn to the commandingly attractive Jason, an Ilion sailor she loathes to trust and desires like no man before. So, this is romantasy, clearly. I have heard like a few things here and there, but honestly, it sounds really good. I think this is one of those books where at least the description to me, it feels like it could be like really, really good, or it could end up being meh. It depends on like how the author takes it. And at a 4.1 average rating, that's pretty good. So I think I'm definitely going to add this one to my Kindle library too. But that's it, you guys. That's all of the books that I have for you on Kindle Unlimited today. I would love to know if you guys liked this video, because I can do more Kindle Unlimited videos in like a different genre or whatever. Just let me know what you think. Let me know if it was helpful at all, if you found any books to add to your Kindle library. If you would like to follow me on TikTok, my links are down below. Next week, I have my Throne of Glass Part 2 vlog coming out, so keep an eye out for that if you're interested. But until next week, bye!